What's up, horror fans? This is the Joker 5150, and I'm here brand new at the Horoscope 101. I'm the new guy on the block. No, I'm not a new kid on the block, even though I do have the right stuff, baby. Anyway, this is my very first time here. I was invited by James, DVD Collector 1974, to become a part of this great horror channel, and my particular contribution for this week, which is, the theme for this week is Scream Queens. And each one of us had to pick a Scream Queen to discuss for the week, and the person I decided to pick was Tiffany Shepis. I believe I'm saying that right. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But Tiffany Shepis, she plays in a lot of low-budget horror films, things of that nature. I'm a big fan of hers. I think she's hot. Anyway, what I picked, since it was Scream Queen week, what I picked of hers was Scarecrow. Now this is a double feature. It has Scarecrow and Scarecrow Slayer in it. I'm reviewing Scarecrow for the week. Scarecrow came out in 2003 by York Entertainment, and it is a low-budget film. Trust me, people. Now, I will say the costume that they used for the Scarecrow, I like it. I like what they did with it. The saving grace of the film, some might say, sadly to say, is Tiffany herself. She's the only one really in this film that acts like they can even act. And what I mean by that is pretty much everybody else that's in the film, it's almost like they're reading their lines when they're saying them. It's really amateur-like. I say amateur-like, it's not as bad as, say, like a student film per se, but it's not very much more above that. You can tell that they spent a little bit of money on this film, very little, but if you enjoy really cheesy horror films, definitely pick this out. I'm not sure if you can buy this film just by itself or if it is just the double feature. Both films are okay, but Tiffany's in the first one, and since it's Scream Queen week, that's what I'm picking. I'll go and set that down, sit there and hold it for the whole time. But it's a movie about, I'll try to give you a little plot synopsis or whatever. It's a movie about this nerdy kid, Lester, who gets picked on by everybody. And for the most part in the entire film, all of the other kids, and I say kids because they all look like they're 25 and older to me, except for some of the girls, but the guys definitely look like in their 20s or so, but they're playing high schoolers. Anyway, all the kids, or most of the kids that he meets or has any interaction with, are assholes. I mean, complete jerk off. They're those kind of kids in high school that, you know, always picked on the nerds, those kind of, you know, like the jocks, and they thought they were so much better and everything like that. That's what Lester has to deal with throughout the whole film. Well, you'll know what I mean when you see it. The time that Lester's still in it, he has to deal with these people. He even has to deal, there's this one particular teacher who should not be a teacher. She should, like, be fired, brought up on charges or whatever. She's very demeaning, especially to Lester. Now, I don't care. I mean, this guy, he lives in a trailer park. So what? He's a human being, you know? And she talks down to him like he's a piece of white trash. As a matter of fact, she calls him a piece of white trash. Talks about how promiscuous his mother is, talking shit about a student, and she's in the capacity of a teacher. You don't do that. I'm sorry, you don't do that. Anyway, neither here nor there. She acts like a jerk. Most of the kids he meets acts like a jerk, but he does befriend Tiffany Shepis' character, Judy. She kind of sticks up for him, and so he kind of feels like, you know, he could kind of bond with her and form a friendship and everything. And so she's really the only one that he can kind of relate to, and she's the only one that's kind of nice to him and everything. Everybody else is pretty much a dick to him. And one thing leads to another, and he happens to see Judy kiss this other guy, and this other guy was one of the guys that was like really mean to him. Now, the problem is that at the time she had attended a party and she was drunk or whatever, and he kind of kissed her. She didn't really kiss him per se, but he kind of like forced a kiss on her, and Lester saw it. Well, just kind of threw him and his whole world into an upheaval, because he thought he finally found somebody that he could relate to and be friends with, and then now he feels that she's betrayed him too. So he runs off. Of course, she can't stop him or whatever. He runs off. Things happen, and well, I'm just going to go ahead. This is kind of a spoiler, but then again, it may even say so on the back of the box. So if it does, then it's not really a spoiler. As a matter of fact, let me check. Yeah, it's on the back of the box in the description, so I'm not really spoiling anything. When Lester sees Judy kiss that guy, he gets all pissed off. He runs home. One thing leads to another. Lester gets into it with his mom's current flavor of the month or whatever, flavor of the week, the boy she's shacking up with. And one thing leads to another, and Lester is killed by his mother's current fling or whatever. And through osmosis or some kind of supernatural thing, Lester's soul or spirit or essence or whatever gets transferred into this scarecrow that's out in the middle of this field. Now I will say this, it's possible it happened because that's where Lester ran to, and his mother's boyfriend kind of follows him or chases after him, and they kind of run into this cornfield, and it's right there pretty much at the scarecrow's feet that Lester dies. And so maybe that's why his spirit, essence, ghost, whatever, goes into the scarecrow. And then the scarecrow, it's like any other horror film that's been out since the beginning of time. The scarecrow enacts revenge on all the people that done Lester wrong. And so I really enjoy it, even though it is really cheesy. The story itself is a pretty good story as far as horror movies go. I think they could have done a better job if they had had more money. And by more money, I mean hired more people that could act. These people are kind of just like really terrible. They're almost like, it's almost like they're reciting lines. They're not. I definitely highly suggest that you guys check it out. It should be dirt cheap. And that's a good thing, because I would hate for anybody to have to pay 20 bucks for this stuff. But Tiffany is the only one that has really any kind of acting ability in the film. And that's okay with me, because like I said, I'm a Tiffany Shepis fan. But anyway, everybody else in the film just pretty much sucks ass. I mean, it's not so bad. I've seen movies that are a hell of a lot worse, but trust me, this isn't. You're not going to see this standing up next to Titanic and The Wizard of Oz and E.T. For any kind of award show. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. It won't even get nominated. But if you like cheesy horror films that are kind of badly acted, the special effects are pretty good for a low budget film. So that's not saying too much, but I mean they're not really completely ridiculous. It's pretty cool. The guy Todd Rex, who actually plays the Scarecrow in the film, and he does a lot of other stuff behind the scenes. I can't remember his credits, but like I think he was like stunt coordinator, and he may have even had something to do with producing. I'm not sure. You know how low budget films are, like 4 people pretty much do all the jobs of everybody. But anyway, or like one guy does like 4 different positions, 4 different jobs and everything. Anyway, Todd Rex plays the Scarecrow, even though it's supposed to be Lester's spirit. He plays the Scarecrow himself. And he does a lot of acrobatics. He kind of reminds me of Darth Maul in Phantom Menace. He does a lot of the flips and the flops and all that. And they give the Scarecrow... if there's one thing I really don't like as far as the character of the Scarecrow, they give the Scarecrow a voice. I just don't think the Scarecrow really needs a voice, but they gave him a voice. Now, the thing with the voice is that it sounds to me like, especially certain things, the first time you hear the Scarecrow talk, to me it sounds too much like Freddy Krueger. It's got that voice! And everything, so... Then there's other times when, it's not so Freddy-ish, but it's too Freddy Krueger-ish, and so I could have done without that. But anyway, I just want to doubly, triply, quadruply make sure that I'm letting you guys know that this is not the polished Hollywood film that some people are used to. This is extremely low budget. I think they do good. I think they do a good job for the fact that it is extremely low budget. So that way you're not expecting too much. You're not expecting a Hollywood polished film, because this is not a Hollywood polished film. But if you're a fan of Tiffany Shepis, I highly suggest picking it up, checking it out. If you're a fan of cheesy horror, check it out. And just, you know, have a good time with it. That's the thing. You can't go into this film expecting some epic, revolutionary experience. It's just one of those cheesy Saturday night horror films that you'd see late at night on like USA Network or, you know, Cinemax in the middle of the night. And definitely check it out. I highly suggest it. And till next week, I believe next week is Non-Nightmare Wes Craven week. And I am set to do a review of the first Scream. So that's what I'm planning on doing for next week, for Non-Nightmare Wes Craven week. But until then, I will see you guys later, and remember, keep the lights low and the sound high. And I'll check you guys later.